Okay, welcome everyone. We are here for our second session. So it's day one of the Foundations of Success event, 2-day online event. We've got a special panel of guests. So you guys who have listened to me this morning already will get a break from having to listen to me again, thank goodness. But yeah, we've got a special panel of guests and we'll introduce those guys in just a second. But this session's all about seamless experiences online, websites and booking systems, which, as you guys know, aside from COVID, track and trace, and all the things that are going on right this moment, are actually a significantly fundamentally important part of running a business. And obviously that's a key reason why they're included in the term today being foundation success. Having this side of your business is really, really important to have sorted, should we say, sorted and going really well. I know that lots of people who may be joining this or watching the recording of this may still do things more manually than maybe the automation and some of the booking systems that are out there. My strongest opinion is actually if you're doing things manually, you're not necessarily wrong in doing that, but I would say you're going to save yourself significant time, give your customers a much better experience, and actually you'll never look back is what I would say if you're not doing wrong. Lots of you already will be online with various different booking systems or maybe ones that you've got plugins from your own website, that sort of stuff. Hopefully they will give you some insight into what the panel guests will know about this, what might need to be tweaked. And obviously if there's anything you want to talk to them about separately outside of this session, you're very welcome to as well. And we'll give you the details. When we send the recording out, we'll give you details to contact these guys too. Obviously, I'm sure that a number of you have looked them up already and may already have contacted them. So that's the start of the session. So I'm going to introduce our panel guests. Thank you so much for being part of today. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to start with Tim. Tim, tell us about you, what you do, what your business is, and just some background info about you.
Well, yeah, nice to meet everyone. My name's Tim Freed. I'm the co-founder of two businesses. The first one that's most relevant here is called Book That In. And Book That In is an online booking system for small businesses, and it allows you to take bookings and payments online for classes, events, appointments, and subscriptions. That's been running for nearly 4 years now. And Book That In actually powers our second business, which is called Toddle About. And Toddle About was founded about 10 years ago now. And it acts as a central hub for everything baby and toddler. So parents can find out what's running locally for them. And because it's now powered by Book That In, businesses can list their classes and things there for free, but they can also take bookings there as well. So it acts as its own booking portal. So those are our businesses, and my background predominantly is sales and marketing. So I kind of grew up working in direct sales, marketing, and then I've been an entrepreneur now for over 10 years. So a fair bit of background, but I'm sure, as most of you will appreciate, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to kind of do everything. So
yeah, lots of hats to be worn, right, Tim? Thank you. Laura, tell us about you and what you do.
Hello. So I run a baby and swimming business, which started up in 2012. And we started franchising a couple of years ago, which is where I met Andy. And if anyone's thinking about it, great franchise consultant. And we, at the same time, we had to think about moving away from our spreadsheets, which we were very tied to at the time. And we've looked at quite a few class management software over the years. And to be honest, it was either way too complicated, so it didn't really fit our needs, or it just came out too expensive in terms of what it would cost us on an annual basis. So in order to sort of franchise successfully, we wanted to have a system in place. So we decided to build a system called Class Evo. My husband's got a software development background, and we've been using it for 18 months. Our franchisees have been using it for just over a year, and we've got a local kids activity provider that's also using it. And we're about to launch to the wider market. We've just literally today finished our release of the sort of the market ready version. So that's our background. I still mostly run the business, and obviously it's been a really interesting year. We're still going, we're currently shut, but we're still going and excited about what next year will bring when we get rid of this thing called COVID.
Thank you, Laura. Adam.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thanks Andy for having me. And great job getting this whole thing together, and especially as things are right now. Good job on that. Yeah, so just a little bit about me and why I'm here. I'm the co-founder of PartyPro Manager. In the early days, this was purely a booking system, and from there has grown to cover many other things like client communication, invoicing, payment processing, and staff scheduling. More recently, I co-founded an organization called Party Business Growth Solutions, and this is our vehicle for helping the industry beyond the tools we provide. So it's things like marketing, web design, and business strategy. With both these ventures, I work closely with Mitch Zeltzer, easy for some, who some of you will know. He is a bit of a marketing magician, so definitely check his talk out later in the schedule. And in general, there's loads of great content to look forward to and over the next couple of days. As for me, I'm based in Lancashire, so hello if you're a northerner and also if you're not. And I look forward to any questions.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Adam. Just as someone screen share, you guys, just to make sure that you're not screen sharing, guys, just so we can see who's talking. That'd be great. Thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, right, let's get into it. Let's kind of, like I said, we've kind of got some questions. So I want to go on to our first question for you guys. So we're kind of going to deep dive into your mind about what's really important about websites and booking system and this online experience. And the first question really is, why is it so important to get your website and booking system right? Now I'm happy for this to go off on tangents here. There's not a wrong and right answer here. But yeah, why is it important to get your website and booking system right for you guys? And we'll start with Tim.
Well, I think that if you get it right, then you'll see massive dividends. Basically, you'll see it in your time, and it will also make you more money. So in terms of time, if you don't have a booking system, you're doing everything manually, then you're going to be spending a lot of time communicating with people about what's on, what days and what times, what's best for them. And you're also going to be then sorting out the bookings themselves. So, taking those payments, matching the payments, chasing the outstanding payments, keeping all your registers up to date. You know what I'm talking about. A system will just automate all that for you. So it takes all that time, that admin time away, and it gives it back to you. And if you've got it all set up right, it will bring in more money as well, because if it's set up right, it will sell for you. So the questions that you get that do come through are then going to be very niche and very specific to an individual. So your time will be much more productive, but you'll also be able to serve people a lot better. But yeah, it also helps because you can have your book now button. So with your marketing, it helps sell as well, because if you can easily just say, if you're interested, book now, or find out more and book now, it's much better than saying, email me for more information or email me to book, because you've got one call to action on your marketing that sends people through to all your details, so they can find out more information there.
Okay, great. What's your take on this, Laura?
I think, Tim's absolutely got it in terms of like making sure that it's a quick and easy process for the customer. That is without doubt the biggest key. Parents, probably the majority of us are parents. If you run children's activities, that seems to be the way it goes. And we're all busy and we just want to be able to do it really quickly. So I think that's hugely key. I think I do find often that websites seem to get forgotten about. I think where a lot of the children's activity market is local, people still focus quite a lot on offline advertising. But I think what we need to remember is that you've got to get the website right. You've got to make sure that it is worth investing in SEO. I'm not somebody that would encourage spending thousands and thousands of pounds with some of the businesses that are out there, but it is important to invest in it. And because if you are found on page 1 of Google, you will be clicked on. And once they get to your website, it needs to be simple, easy to read, colourful, something that customers are actually going to buy into. They'll buy into, because ultimately with children's activities, they'll buy into you, they'll buy into fun, brightness, and something that's clear and transparent. And you know, the book now button is really important. We didn't used to have that a few years ago, because with swimming you want to check which class the customer should go into, but you know, we have a system that does that anyway, but they have to be able to click it, fill in some really simple details, and it comes through to you, because you know, you've got to try and capture them. I think there's you know, I think 80% of visits are on mobiles now, and you know, and if your website doesn't load quickly and things don't move quickly, then customers move off and they go somewhere else. So you know, that's the simplicity is definitely key for me anyway.
Okay, great, thanks Laura. Adam?
Yeah, again, building on all that great advice. So I think I've sort of got 3 separate points to make here. The first one, as with everything, first impressions matter, and essentially your website is the first impression and the booking process is the second impression. The service itself actually comes, you know, some way down the line. So if you get first 2 steps spot on, then you've already done a good job in satisfying your customer. So it makes the service itself not quite as critical to be absolutely spot on, because you've already done so many things right. The second point is scalability. Again, building on what Tim and Laura have already said, that whether scalability for you means more events, more staff, more lucrative events, if you don't have an automated or semi-automated booking process, you will reach a point where your booking process becomes a spanner in the works, and you can't progress. However skilled you are, however talented you are, it'll be the booking process that holds you back. And thirdly, mental well-being, in that technology opens the door for precious things like relaxation time, breaks, and potentially even delegating admin work to someone else. Whereas if you're doing everything manually, you're always on call. If you're not answering the phone, then the customer's got nowhere to go. So those 3 things for me.
Yeah, okay, great. I guess I'll add in as well my thoughts on this as well, is that I think one really key thing to remove from your whole booking process, and obviously the first impressions point is a really key point for Adam just then, but I think a really important thing for me is to remove friction whenever you can, right? Remove friction. Because whenever you've got friction points, what I mean by friction points are that it's not easy to see the book now button, or you've got too many colors as opposed to a more concise branded website, if that makes sense. I agree with Laura as well. I think that generally speaking in our sector, you obviously need color. You know, there's not too many that are very black and white or gray, right? Which is a great, good thing. But then having too many colors can maybe disturb that as well. That becomes a friction point. Having a breakdown in links is a friction point. Having too much information on a homepage is a friction point. Having it take 5 minutes or 10 minutes instead of 1, 2, 3 minutes to make an inquiry or to book on to one of your sessions or classes. All those things are friction points, and you should really work hard as a provider to reduce as many of them as possible. Because if there are things that you think, well, a parent once asked me this, or a parent once asked me that, what if I don't cover it before they want to do and I lose a sale? I can understand why you may want to put additional steps in, or you may want to cover more information. But at the same time, understand that a lot of the time people want convenience, especially the new generation of parents that are coming through, which is more and more millennials, and then the generation after millennials. They're on their phones the whole time. Every website right now should be mobile ready at the very least. It should be mobile ready for a long, long time, but certainly mobile first now is what more and more businesses are moving towards. So being mobile ready, mobile first, whatever you want to see it as, is mission critical. And removing those friction points is just as important, because you want to make sure it's convenient for people to just go from seamless point of action. So if, for example, you use a system that you can integrate into your website, then great, that's fine. Just make sure that it loads really quickly as a simple thing. Make sure that it kind of guides the customer through without different information kind of making people have too much noise, and make sure it's just really easy to find. You know, some of these things sound really obvious, but as I look at websites for activity providers, I think to myself straight away, I'm thinking, well, there's too much information there. That button's not bold enough, all things like that. So think really critically and get outside opinion as well, as what I would say. Get people to look at it and give you feedback. You may get feedback from customers, which might be helpful, but get people to look at it and go, you know what, I've not thought about that. Because often when you've kind of really worked hard on a website, or you've got a web design to do it, or you've got a booking system that's integrated there, you lose sight of that thing. So I think those are really important points. Yes, Laura, question.
Sorry, I was just going to add to that actually, because I think the mobile readiness is really, really important, and it has been important for a long time. But actually, I think what you're saying about people looking at it is really important. I've got a friend that recently set up a children's activity business a couple of years ago, and they built it on an Apple machine, and so when it transferred over to Android and Windows, it was all over the place. So I think you've got it's that much detail that you actually need to get people to look at it on all these different formats, so that when they are clicking on the different, just because of the way you do it is the way you do it, it's not the way everybody does it. And so and that can be, I think, really important, because the minute that website loads, if you haven't got their attention in 15 seconds, then they're gone. So I think I think that's really important to get that feedback.
Yeah,
just saying it is 15 seconds as well. I think that's the average time people spend on a website, and so I think technically you probably have about 5 seconds to actually get their attention.
Which is no time at all, right? And it kind of goes back to the point about first impressions. And if your website loads too slow, I think there's a crazy stat. I'm not going to say what it is because I'll probably be completely wrong. There's a crazy stat about a number of people who, if they try and load your website page and it takes more than, say, 3.5 seconds or something.
It's 3 seconds.
Yeah,
it's 3 seconds. Yeah, you're right.
More than 3 seconds, they're going to exit, going to go to the next company. And that sounds absolutely atrocious, but it actually completely makes sense when you think about our need for instant gratification. We are always a click away from instantly having information or something you need, apps. If you've got really good Wi-Fi, you're always used to it all the time. I've got my brother-in-law lives in Taiwan, and whenever he comes to the UK, he's always moaning about the Wi-Fi in the UK. It's been so slow. And I'm looking at it going, it's loaded in about 1.5 seconds. What are you talking about? Whereas he's obviously used to it loading in, before he's even typed it in, right? So he's used to that. So I think bear that in mind, your customers need to, or potential customers need to do it. It kind of feeds nicely into my next question, actually, is how can we influence customers to book online and then help retain them? So obviously a really important part is marketing, which has sort of been touched upon already, to kind of get them to the website. How do we influence the book online? Again, you guys have said some things already, but booking online, how do we influence them, and then how do we retain them longer term? And obviously there's a little bit more to retention than just your website, but obviously it still plays a key part, right, in terms of making sure the computer side of our business runs well. So I'll go to Adam first for this one.
Yeah, well, I think as well, what we've all been talking about already in terms of the ease of booking, the ease of finding where to book, and then actually going through the process. I think that actually does two things in that. Firstly, it obviously increases the chance of that actual booking being made. But secondly, customers will remember how easy it was the first time around. So when they come in future to wanting to book a service like yours, they'll sort of be they'll be keen to come back and have that same experience again, rather than risk going somewhere else and having a slow process, which is confusing and all the rest of it. So yeah, I think you get double value from actually making your booking process as easy as it can be. In terms of sort of, again, influencing customers to come back to you, one of the things is obviously the follow-up beyond the booking itself, the ongoing communications. And a key part of that is making it easy for yourself to do that, because if it's not easy, if you've got to do manual data transfers, you won't end up doing it. You'll be so engrossed in the day-to-day running that you'll forget about those things. So the ongoing follow-up doesn't happen, therefore you lose the potential for the repeat bookings that you might have had. In terms of the booking process itself, like you said, more than anything else, it's about taking away obstacles. That every step of the way, if there's something that isn't as obvious as it can be, or takes longer than it should be, you're going to lose, say, whatever it might be, 5% of potential customers. But if there's 5 or more steps in the process, those 5% at each step start to add up to more than you might imagine initially. And it might seem as if the main thing with making the booking process easier is simply to do with the number of fields and keeping the number of fields that you enter down to a minimum. And it actually, in reality, that's just one aspect of many that come into play. When I design booking forms, this is mostly in my head, but I've still got a checklist written down that I go through in terms of all the different aspects that need to be in place. So just to, I don't know if we can, if this is readable at all. It's probably not, but
they're back to front for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is interesting because I purposely printed it back to front because for me, it reads the right way. So let's scrap that. And it's things like no more than 10 fields in total, no more than 5 in any particular step, grouping together related fields so that it's logical and clients aren't overwhelmed as they're going through the process. So just as well to mention here that this checklist I've got has actually got 33 points in total. And if there's any interest, I'd be more than happy to share this checklist for clients, for party businesses and activity providers to refer to in terms of reviewing their own booking process and whether it has all these aspects covered.
Yeah, maybe if you can send that through, that'd be great, and I'll include it in the recording that goes out next week. That'd be good.
Excellent, thanks.
That's all right, and we won't get back to front that time either, you guys. That's read normally. Tim, what are your thoughts on this, Tim?
So I would agree with Adam, absolutely. If we're talking about how we get more people to book online, then making it easy is huge. I definitely agree with that. And if you bring it back to the reasons why people book, people are booking really because they are confident that when they click that button and they do make the booking, they're going to get what they expect. And they trust you as well. They trust your business, but they trust the system, and they know that their money is going to be looked after. So I think it's those two things that are crucial that we address. And you can make people confident in what you do by the sales process, effectively by what you're showing them on the website. So making a lot of use of video. I think video is crucial these days. People love to see what's going on. And if you can video your class, if you can video one of your parties, if you show people actually what it does and what they're going to get, that will really, really help build confidence. And use of testimonials as well. It's all very well you saying on your website, yeah, we're great, we do all these wonderful things. But actually, if you have your customers saying it, then it's a lot more powerful. We all like a recommendation. If you can't get a recommendation from someone getting a recommendation from someone like you is equally powerful. And video obviously increases authenticity. But if you can have a photo of the people who are giving you the testimonial, that will really help. So all that will build up confidence, but also you want to make sure that the system that you use is secure. So that is crucial. That a lot of people are a little bit nervous about money online, especially if they're booking through a smaller business. So impressing to them that your booking process is secure is important. So obviously make sure if you are using a booking system that it is secure, and you can check that you've got the little padlock in their website to make sure they've got an SSL certificate, and you should have one as well. I haven't seen many websites recently that don't, to be honest. Most of them do seem to now have SSL, but even 6 months ago, I was still coming across quite a few that didn't. So if your site doesn't have an SSL certificate, then definitely make sure it does. But it's not just that it is secure. They have to feel secure. So tell them. So, say our system is secure, and we will look after you. If they feel secure, that is as important as it being secure for them to actually click that button. So one way of doing it, one thing that we do with our system is you can embed our booking system on the website. So rather than sending people off to a third-party site to make the booking, which can sometimes be a bit jarring, you can keep people all within your platform on your website, and they're booking with you, and you're the brand that they trust. But you can also say, our system is powered by this third party, because they equally probably don't want to think that you're doing it all on your own, and that you do have a professional business behind you to process those bookings and things like that. So yeah, confidence and trust. I think anything you can do to build those things is key.
Okay, great. I'm going to pick up on one thing you said there, Tim, in just a second. But Laura, what are your thoughts on this? How do we influence people to book online and retain them?
Well, I mean, I think all the things we said in the first bit about, being on page 1 on Google and having, a good website and things like videos and stuff video is really key right now. And I think that's where you start, and then making it as simple as possible, which we've already talked about. But I also think the review thing, Tim, just talking about that again. So we do a lot of asking people for reviews, or any customer that leaves. We also regularly just mail out with links to our Google Plus account, with links to our Facebook review account, and just ask for reviews, because actually, if your service is one that is loved by your customers, then they will give you really positive reviews about it. I think sometimes people are a bit frightened of doing that because it can open yourself up. No one's going to have a perfect customer experience all of the time. And, you do open yourself up to, if someone's had a potential problem, which actually might not be your fault, but it's happened. But actually, if what you're doing is good enough, then we should be asking for reviews, because people do look at reviews. I know when I order anything online, I always look at the reviews and just see, and if there's anything 4+, then you can be fairly confident that that's a good service. And I think, and once you've got them, once you've done that simple process and the simple steps, retaining is, I think, a booking system that gives you the biggest chance of success in terms of retaining your customers, because if you make it simple for them to rebook, so a simple re-enrollment process, thinking about class activities, they simply they don't even have to do anything. So we use Go Cardless. There's loads out there that different booking systems use, but you make it automatic. And I was so frightened of automatic re-enrollment for years, because I was like, I don't want to take customers' money without I don't want to just put people in this re-enrollment automatic system. But it has been, without doubt, the biggest change to our business in terms of profit. It's unbelievable, the difference, and customers love it, because once they're in, they don't have to do anything. They get an email every 6 to 8 weeks. They have time to cancel their direct debit if they need to. They have time to change their payment dates if they want to. It just makes it so simple. So once they're in, they're then in until the point that they want to leave their class, in which case, we have good systems in place in terms of, they can leave and cancel when they need to. And we make sure that that's fair to us and fair to the customer. But the rebooking re-enrollment process for me is the absolute key for retaining them, because it makes it really simple. And I know that's mainly, but if you've got classes that you're going to be rolling over, one-off events, it's slightly different, because it's more of a chase or keeping them interested. But I've got some statistics actually, which Martin, who was supposed to be here today, my husband, was going to talk to you about. So acquiring a new customer can actually cost 5 times more than retaining an existing customer. So increasing customer retention by 5% can actually increase profits from 25 to 95%. So selling to a customer you've already got is without doubt the biggest key. And when you think about rolling them over through a number of years, those are the customers you want to keep. I mean, getting new customers is obviously really important, but it's keeping them for as long as you can, and the service they're getting is good. then your profits are gonna change, and we've definitely seen that over the last few years. So I think that's my points about retaining customers.
Yeah, look, I think they're all really good points, really. I suppose the things I pick up on is I think that everyone will agree in the activity sector that customer retention is essential. Your stat highlights that further, Laura, and I've said that before. I think that from a customer spend point of view, it's absolutely essential. From a word of mouth point of view, it's absolutely essential. And I think they're actually one of the key kind of KPIs, key performance indicators that people need to be looking for is how good is their retention rate. I certainly know the companies that I've previously worked for in our sector, we've always focused very heavily on that. And if we weren't 90% on term, we were below what we should be, as an example. Now that 90% might be something completely different for you, might be higher, might be lower. That was what it is for us. And so we were seeing anything below 90%, we were trying to find out why it was below that. And I think that obviously once you've got your customers in, if you offer an amazing program, amazing service in your sessions, and then you back that up with all the things that Adam, Tim and Laura have just said in terms of secure website, easy, convenient, ongoing payments, whatever it might be that you guys do, so it becomes a no-brainer to just carry on because it's convenient and you guys are great. There's no reason to leave, unless there's an extenuating circumstance, which obviously happens from time to time with customers. But I think that's a really important thing here, is make sure it's really convenient from a website booking point of view, make sure it's really convenient. Laura, I touched on one of the things you said there about, obviously part of your retention is kind of built into the ongoing, sorry, someone's letting someone in. Auto debiting people and direct debit, that sort of thing. Talk to me about that a little bit. Obviously, I know a bit about your business anyway, so I know you guys do this too. And I think, I've got a number of clients as well, and certainly people I speak to have like a monthly subscription, which is effectively the same thing, just slightly different length of time. Lots of people don't do that traditionally in the activity sector. It has changed a lot over the past 2-3 years. I think there's more and more people that have gone to a subscription-based model of some sort, or an automated type of payment system. But traditionally speaking, it is people book for a half-term or full-term period, or they do kind of pay and play, drop-in sessions. Obviously, that's more difficult right at this moment, but at some point, I imagine that will come back. But there's a huge benefit, right, to the auto payments and the kind of subscription type thing. Tell us about how that, I think you mentioned it already, about how it massively changed for you in terms of your swim school. Was that just sheerly in terms of without necessarily naming numbers, was that sheerly from a revenue boost, or was that a time save? Like what were the actual, do you remember life before that?
Yeah, it was very, lots of late nights.
Yeah.
I think it removes a humongous amount of admin. I know we're talking later about what the future holds, but I think automation has been around for quite a while now. There are a lot of booking systems out there. There are a lot of different ways that you can save time and you can save money. But I think, I think a lot of people that work in the children's activity market are don't want to be seen as being, purely about profit. The money, certainly for me, and Martin would confirm this, I don't like talking about money with customers. I don't like asking for, which is ridiculous because I run a business and I have done for 8 years, but I don't like going, oh, right, now you need to pay your next £80 for my 8 weeks. But ultimately, I'm running a service. I've got a staff, I've got people, I'm running a business and it's a successful business, but it will only remain successful if we keep on top of, of being time efficient, cost saving, and just making sure that, I can run my business successfully without burning the midnight oil. And so automation for us has not, I think I was worried that customers would leave and would say, we don't like automation. That's what the big companies do. But we simply got to a point where we had too many swimmers and we couldn't. I mean, that's where it comes to. If you're running a class for 30 to 50 people a week, or running a few classes, and it maybe is easier to sort of to manage. But once you start to scale it up and you start to grow, and certainly with franchising, it's absolutely essential to be introducing your franchisees to things like an automated re-enrollment, because otherwise they're buying a business off you, which means they're going to be burning the midnight oil, which you've got to take responsibility for supporting them. And so what automation has done for us has just been significant amounts of time saving. It has meant that it's a one you know, an email goes out, they have their money taken. You know, we're not, I'm very into customer service. We have good terms and conditions. If a customer wants to cancel or they have a problem or extenuating circumstances, we're really flexible. But it means that when we start the term and my teachers start working, everything's paid, the pools are paid, you know, everything's in place. We know where we are. And actually, on that note, what it means for you as a business owner is you can then, once you've got all of that stuff in place, you then get much better data, which can show you what's successful, what classes are working, what your leaver rates are like, what your joiner rates are like. You know, it gives you quite a lot of detail to run your business successfully and know what money's coming in and know what you can afford to do. And really, the automated re-enrollment just has a massive impact across the whole business. Well, it has for us anyway.
Okay, great. Thank you, Laura. Right, let me move you guys on now to my next question. We've got a couple more questions to go, and then I'm going to ask the audience for any questions they've got. So if you've got a question, guys, or you thought some stuff, made some notes, get ready to put it in the chat function quite soon, not just yet. But next question, I'll start with Tim with this one. COVID-19, we can't get away from this thing, unfortunately. What impact, if any, do you think that's had on websites and bookings? Apart from the obvious, maybe less people are paying for services, or maybe they're not. You know, maybe they are paying for services just as much money. What do you think the impact of COVID-19 has been for us?
Well, in terms of the way booking systems have evolved, is that what you mean, or
anything at all? Anything you think that maybe the COVID has kind of shifted the focus or thought process, or anything you've done differently, maybe as well as a booking system provider?
Well, it's obviously made a massive shift to online. So everybody has been looking at how they can still continue. Certainly with the first lockdown, you know, nothing could run, so everyone shifted online. So that was one thing that we certainly had to shift as well, because our system was all about, you know, where are you? Where are the classes based? So we had to make sure that you could actually run an online class, and that was a possible location as well. But to be honest, we touched on it, but the other main thing we changed with our system was subscriptions. So when people moved online, they realized that actually I'm not now restricted to just running live sessions at a certain day at a certain time. I can now offer a package. So we had a lot more of our clients who were saying, well, yeah, I'll still run my live sessions, but I want to offer them a package whereby they sign up for a week or a month, and they get access to our live classes, and then they can also see our pre-recorded stuff and get access to our community, and they're going to be paying for this. So we needed to implement that to allow people to be able to take subscription payments as well. So yeah, we did evolve that way. The other stuff, to be honest, we already had it really, because you've got track and trace is an issue now, but most booking systems, I think, will allow you to have a register. You can then say if people have attended or not, and it will save that. So you've got track and trace built in. Capacity is obviously a lot stricter now as well, because you can't go over. You're not allowed to go over your limit. So again, a booking system will stop you being able to do that. But you know, we haven't changed to do that. That was already in there. But actually, the other thing I think that people are seeing, we're seeing a lot more, is last minute changes. So obviously we've had a last minute change with a new lockdown coming into place, and you've got to shift quickly. But people cancelling, because, you know, I've woken up this morning and I've got a cold, and I don't know if I should come to the class now. And a lot of our clients are saying, I'm getting so many requests now, you know, to have a last minute cancellation, or can I transfer to the next week, or things like that. It's you know, again, we've kind of made that a little bit more seamless, I would say, in our system. So you can just, you know, make transfers and cancel and refunds, and you can do all that stuff quite easily. We could do it before, but yeah, we have worked to improve that as well. So
there's probably more tweaks from your system, really, rather than wholesale changes of that. So, yeah. Okay, Adam, how about you? What do you think? Any impact at all that COVID's had on websites and systems?
Yeah, I mean, related a lot to what Tim said there, in terms of, as soon as the first lockdown kicked in, there were two things we had to drop or postpone all our other development work, and there were two key things we had to do. And one was similarly making slight adjustments to take virtual service bookings. So instead of clients needing to give an address and all that kind of thing, that there was an option to remove that from the booking form for certain types of services. And the other one again was to do with the cancellations, rescheduling and that kind of thing, just to have a really easy way for our clients to sort of mark an event as postponed, the fact that the payment has already been made, so they don't need to pay next time, that kind of thing. And in terms of websites, I just think, as ever, they provide a way to instantly show customers all the information they need to know. And crucially, more than anything else at this time, what they want to know is how you're dealing with COVID, what your cancellation terms are you taking safety seriously. So having all that on your website means that you're not having customers emailing you, phoning you, saying what will you do in this scenario, or how do I know my child's going to be safe? So yeah, I think those are the key things for me.
Okay, great stuff. Laura, how about you? How's COVID-19 impacted? So obviously your swim school business has been impacted massively, right?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
a websites and systems point of view, how has it impacted you guys?
Well, I mean, obviously web search is down for children's activities, certainly during lockdown. But to be honest, the minute we came out of lockdown, this immediately shot back up again. We've never been as busy. Lots of children's activities are saying the same thing. So I think, if anything, I would encourage anyone to use this opportunity to get make sure your website content's up to date. Make sure that you're refocusing your website on children's activities, not necessarily on COVID. I've seen a lot of people have gone crazy on the COVID security. I personally think that customers need to know that they're safe, but they also need to know that your activity business is still about fun and about what parents are needing, which, to be honest, there's going to be huge opportunities coming out of this pandemic, and the virtual lessons thing, obviously we can't run virtual lessons in a swimming pool, but that's been brilliant to watch how people have diversified into virtual lessons and virtual parties, and my kids have done all sorts of stuff on Zoom. It's been brilliant. So I think if you've got the opportunity to do that within your business, then amazing, and it's worth, but I think this is a time for reflection. I think this is a time for, keeping up to date with, with your web content, your social media content, but making sure that when you come out of this, and actually things like introducing a booking system now is the absolute time to do it. If, as a children's activity provider, you are still using spreadsheets, this is the time to change, because when you come out of this, the opportunities, we're probably going to be busier than we've ever been, and so you want to be set up, you want the infrastructure in place so that you can hit the ground running. And I think, we're just launching our booking system, so we're in a good position at the moment to do this, but I think it's really important for people running booking systems to consider competitive rates, offers, ways of getting new people on board, to give the whole sector the chance to prosper and grow really at the other side of the pandemic. So, I think it's important to focus on what's happening right now, but I think it is a good time for reflection. It's a good time to, get ready for 2021.
Yeah, no, definitely. I tend to agree, to be honest with you. I think that, and this actually is really a big part of the whole 2-day event that we're doing.
Yeah.
is all about how can we improve things. Now I've got this talk that I'm gonna do not today or tomorrow, but at some point soon. It's all about marginal gains and all about compounding 1% improvements across our businesses. Now I actually think that the booking system side of this and all the touch points that people go through with their websites and the various elements before they even get to your session, I believe that's significantly more than 1%, to be honest with you. But I do believe that it's a significant thing that people should reflect back on, like you said, Laura, and actually think, what in my business right now is weak? Because I know lots of people right now, myself included, have probably been the busiest they've ever been. This year has been a rubbish year, but it's actually gone quite quickly for a lot of people in some ways. And I think that it's actually a really good time to try and think, where we have a bit of time to go, how's our business going? What direction is it going in? Have I got a booking system in place? If I have, is it going how I should be? Do I need to make sure I implement a new thing here, or do I need to contact the person, the provider I've got, to see if I can, suggest something that's not working for them? That sort of stuff. Think about those things, because all the booking system providers that I know are all very, really nice people, including you guys, and I think all are open to the feedback, is what I would say. I think that there's, it's difficult sometimes to satisfy everyone. I think in terms of, because it's very difficult to have that, and I think that's where you see some people using different systems that tend to suit them, I suppose. But at the same time, think really carefully about what your business needs right now. What are the weak points, and what do you need going into 2021, even if there's uncertainty right now? Like I said in my first talk before this one, we have to plan for the future. Even if it is uncertain, we have to have a plan or multiple plans in the future. And that plan, for me, fundamentally should include a really, really good customer experience, online experience for people, which obviously includes booking systems. So on that point, guys, my final question before we go to a Q&A, if anyone's got any, is what does the future hold for websites and booking systems? And maybe it's just more of the same. I don't know if that's your point. Maybe it's not. Maybe you feel like there's going to be a significant change in the kids' activity sector, which may influence it a little bit. I don't know. But what are your thoughts? We'll start with Adam on this one. What are your thoughts for the future?
Yeah. Firstly, just to touch on something you just mentioned about where if a party or activity provider business right now doesn't have a system in place, or maybe they have one in place that they're not sure it works for them, I would just highly recommend trying out, I would say 3 is probably a good number. Try out 3 different systems, and usually quite early on you'll have maybe one that doesn't feel right for you, so you're down to 2, and then of those 2 you want to be trying them out for a week or 2 side by side, and then the one or other will it will just feel right, and you'll start to say, oh yeah, this is going to change for the better my business, and before you know it, you'll never look back, sort of thing. And also, just to put sort of an appeal when you are trying out booking systems, is don't hesitate to reach out, to ask questions directly to the, to support, because yes, tutorials are there, and we encourage you to obviously do your own reading of that. But I think sometimes our clients see reaching out as the very last resort. They don't want to speak to someone. They think they're being a nuisance to take up our time. But the best thing for us is to hear questions, and chances are we'll be able to point you in the right direction, where you might have spent hours reading and still not knowing exactly what to do. That's not just specific to me, but with any company trying our booking systems. And as you've said, I think in general it's more of the same moving forward. I think the virtual online stuff will continue, not to the same extent, maybe in a slightly different format, but for us, we feel it's always going to be, and always was, but it wasn't really realized before. It's always a powerful marketing tool, if nothing else, to do these live events either for free or for a low cost, or whatever your model might be. But the key thing about it is to have a system and a process in place that ensures that parents aren't just coming for the one event, watching, possibly enjoying, hopefully, but then potentially disappearing and forgetting about you from then on. So the key is to, have a registration process in place. Sometimes it might be the best tactic to not have a registration, and you might just want as many eyeballs as possible. But in general, even if it's free, you'll want clients registering, giving their details, so that down the line you will benefit from the, from the time that you're giving up. And in our experience, parents are willing to do that because it's easy to think, oh, as soon as parents have got to register, they'll move on to the next event. But it does work. We've seen it work. Take registrations, follow up, and that will always be a marketing tactic that works.
Okay, great, thanks. And Tim, what are your thoughts on the future?
So I think the future is actually quite exciting. I think there will be a lot of same as we've got at the moment carrying on, but I think there's two key ways that I think that booking systems at least are going to evolve. And I think because there's so many booking systems, and there are a lot of booking systems now to choose from, I think one thing is that they're going to have to learn to do more. So I think booking systems are going to, in terms of what they offer to the businesses that use them, they're going to have to find ways of not just processing the bookings, but also finding new bookings for the businesses that use them. That's one thing that we've been doing in terms of our integration with the Toddle About site, so that when anyone who uses Book That In can then effectively advertise for free on Toddle About, so that we can start help driving some customers to them. But I know we're not the only ones that do that. There are others that do that too. But I think that's going to be one way that systems will start to offer more. But the other way, I think, is closer integration. So I think that there is some hesitancy within some activity providers to be listed on all these different sites that you can be on and you can take bookings through. And I think as an industry, we as the booking system providers are going to need to start seeing each other as partners instead of competitors, and working closer together so that we can provide a better solution for the end user, for the businesses that use them. If they have one central place, or if they know that when they update their class listings, it can then get sent out to the different systems they want to use, I think that will be incredibly powerful for everyone. I think it will benefit everybody in this industry. So I'm quite excited about that. And if I may just say one last thing that we are doing, which I'm quite also very excited about, is we are, where we've built the Toddle About site, we've built it on a template effectively. It's powered by Book That In. So it's a marketplace just for baby and toddler activities. But we've built it in a way that we can now create other marketplaces that are all powered by Book That In. So if somebody else came to us and they said, we want to run, a niche site for yoga classes or for football classes or whatever it would be, then we can create that now as well. But all their data will be centralized in one place, so they can use Book That In as their solution, and they can then advertise in lots of different places as part of that. But I think it's never going to be just us. I think we do need to be talking to all the other booking systems, and we need to be integrating closer together. I think that's where it's going to get really interesting.
Okay, good stuff. Laura, what are your thoughts on the future before we go to Q&A? If you've got Q&As, guys, feel free to start putting them in the chat to any of the guys or just everyone. Laura, thoughts on the future before we finish to that?
Okay, I'll be quite quick. So automation, which is already out there, but that is the point of having a booking system. Automation, all of those monotonous tasks. Life is more interesting without spending hours and hours having to do all of that. And you make way for growth. Trust me, you make way for growth when you do that. And the last thing is artificial intelligence, which, given that we're in the children's activity market, is probably not something that people talk about very much. But your business is made up of data. Your business is made up of a lot of data. So your customer data is the lifeblood of your business. It can change you. It can show you how to change things. It can show you what classes work. It can show you why your customers are leaving, and it can help you manage and give you warnings when customers are like to leave, when you've got a problem, with a teacher, with a franchise. You need that data. You need it quick. You need it looking quite pretty so that it's easy to work out what's going on. And that, I think, is going to be really key to the future. And that's the people that will grow quickly will have a good understanding of how, how their customers are behaving, and how, so yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we specialize in as well. if anyone's interested. So yeah, that's it really. And I think it's an exciting future for the children's activity market. So yeah, let's all kind of, I love what you're doing, Andy. I think it's good to get everyone collaborating and asking questions and debating what's good and what's so that we can all help and grow, because I'm telling you now, parents need us. They really need us now, and the kids need us too next year when they've spent a year barely doing anything. So yeah, we need to be a positive light in that for that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think obviously I always bang the collaboration drum a lot with ICAP and just in general. I think that's definitely going to be the way forward. So what Tim was saying, I think is a really interesting point. I think that 2021 in general is going to be really, it's going to be, our sector's always needed, but it's going to be a really important year to get back on its feet. Mm-hmm. There's huge growth in our sector. We are so young. The kids activity sector is so young compared to other industries. So there's huge growth to be had. And I think demand is already very strong for a lot of people that have been back to normal sessions. That will only increase 2021. Babies are always being made, so there's going to always be a need for what you guys do. I think obviously there's competition, and I think that's actually where websites and booking systems actually play a significant part from differentiating yourself potentially from those that maybe have clunky websites or maybe don't have a seamless experience that you might have with actually an automation, and without having one of these guys that are talking today actually have their systems involved what you do. So yeah, I tend to totally agree. Right, let's go to questions. I think I've seen some popping up, and feel free to ask more. Let's just try and jump back to everyone. Okay. Okay, so Jill for Laura, your booking system doesn't do card payments.
Yeah.
Is that, don't a lot of providers need that?
Yeah, it's only because it's new. So we use Go Cardless, so we've started with Go Cardless. Card payments will be quick to follow. We're looking for, we're about to launch and look for 5 adopters, which will help us to shape the future of it. But yeah, card payments will come. But it's just that you're better off starting simple with developing a system and not throwing everything at it to start with. So that's the main reason.
Okay, cool. Right, Alicia, do your systems facilitate a franchise model, and do you already have franchise businesses using your system? So that's a question for all of you guys. So maybe Tim, if you want to start with that one.
So the simple answer to that one is yes. So Book That In does support franchises, and I just saw that one of our franchises is on here as well, Baby College. So hi B, I know you're here. But yeah, we have several franchises that use our system, and you can set it up so all the franchisees, the way we do it, the franchisees all have their own account. So they process their own payments, they're responsible for it all, and those payments go through to their own account. But all those franchisee accounts are linked to the franchisor. So the franchisor has full oversight of all the franchisees. And thanks partly to B, we now have some reports as well that you can pull off the system, so you can pull off a single spreadsheet and see all of your franchisees' bookings and things like that.
Okay, great stuff. Adam, how about you?
Yeah, so the vast majority of our users currently are independent businesses. We've had, for I think around 3 years now, we have had a franchise that came on board in the early days. And as the name suggests, our system's called PartyPro Manager. Our primary focus is on the parties and one-off events type of services. However, when the franchise came on board, they had a need for sort of holiday clubs and after-school clubs, that kind of thing. So we have an unofficial module that isn't actually currently mentioned on our website that supports those kind of services. So, and we do have, as I say, a franchise with us for 3 years that's each of their franchisees has a separate account, essentially. It's essentially like Tim as said for his system. And we've reached a point now where we're so content and satisfied with the system. There's still more to do, but it is in our upcoming plans to start reaching out more proactively to franchises, in particular those that do both parties and clubs and after school clubs and holiday clubs and that kind of thing.
Okay, great stuff. I'm just trying to punch your. I think B's put the book that in you're on there. Thanks for that, B. I'll just put classy. I'm just going to find PartyPro managers in a second. Laura, question from Alicia about franchise. Obviously, I know you operate a franchise business too. Yeah. Do you do that?
Yeah, I'm a franchisor, and I and we run. So we run. We cater for that. That was really why the system was built. And yeah, if you're interested in having a look, then yeah, we're just releasing the test system now, so you can give me a shout.
Yeah, and what we do, guys, as well, is we will, when the recording goes out this next week, all the details for those, the links will be on there as well, so you guys will get a chance to go. Obviously, you can look at the links in the chat function now if you like to as well, or just Google the guys. I'm sure they're on page 1, right? So so do that, and you guys will find them. All right, I'm going to finish. Actually, sorry, more questions. Sorry, let me see more questions. If I've missed any already, guys.
There's one that says, do any of you offer a website MOT advice service? No, but I'm always happy to give my opinions. If you want any help for free, then give me a shout.
Yeah, just to jump in on that, as I mentioned briefly at the start, alongside our PartyPro Manager system, we've recently launched the Party Business Growth Solutions organization, and that's the kind of thing that we set that organization up for. So it's, again, website reviews and sort of marketing advice, strategy sessions. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. I'm sure that Tim and Laura would also have a lot of advice to give on those areas.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't offer website MOT advice, guys, just to clarify. Okay, let me just see if there's any other questions before I miss it. Sorry if I've missed any, guys. Okay, so how can we GS in there, Dale? Tim, Adam, if you can just quickly put your emails into that chat function, anyone that needs to use them can quickly copy them, that'd be great. And then we're gonna finish up. And thank you guys for joining me today. And obviously massive thank you to the guests that Tim, Adam, Laura. Thank you so much for being part of today. I really appreciate it. I think obviously this is one part of a 2-day event, but it's really, really important that websites and booking systems are, like we said before, are really focused on quite a lot now in terms of let's get this right. I think this is a really big, important moment for our sector in general. But I think that this is the kind of thing that can make significant difference for admin time saving and obviously for sales as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Those that are watching, if you do want to continue watching, we've got another session in 10 minutes time, which actually links quite nicely. It's all on SEO with Chris Ryu from Dorset Tech, who's kind of is an SEO fanboy, should we say, and he's going to give us some great advice. He's presenting that one, and I'll be there as well. So please do join if you can. Jump back to your email that I sent out with the video links. And click on the link for the SEO talk if you want to join us for that one. And ICAP members, again, a reminder, there's a final session about online audiences, social media this afternoon with a panel event for that one as well. So if you can join us for that, please do. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Guest panels, thank you guys for a lovely day, and I will see you guys soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.